Hi, friends. Welcome to Green Card Guys TV. In this episode, you're going to learn more about what the update is from the Department of State, specifically about what they're doing to solve the visa interviews in the backlog. Okay, so this update is actually coming from the Department of State from 2 days ago. So we want to share it with you as soon as possible. Now, the first thing that we're going to explain is specifically how they're going to solve it for the preference categories, because I know many of y'all have been asking about F4 or F2B, F2A, and also for the K1 visas in those interviews. Okay, so they're going to figure that out, and we're going to share more detail about that. And we're also going to mention about diversity visa interviews. So stay tuned all the way to the end so you get all the information. Friends, my name is John Ting, your host. I practice immigration law in all 50 states of America, from the East Coast to the West Coast, and we're here to solve your immigration problem. Now, let's get down right to it. Number one, a lot of people are really focused on, of course, asking what the heck is going on about my interview, because you may have received the DQ documentary qualified email several months ago or even recently, and you're wondering, okay, now that I received that, when are they going to send me the email about my actual interview date? And it may seem like a free for all, but it does appear the government does have some kind of process, and they're going to answer it for you right now. And so what they said is that they are focused on, in terms, because the pandemic is still going on, they're still being mindful of it. And I may have mentioned this in the previous live show, is that because the pandemic's still going on, there's not every consulate is going to be full staff. We don't even know for sure even if everyone could come back to work in terms of government employee, maybe they took a different job. Maybe they are sick as well. So you have to think of it in terms of that perspective if you were, running the government. And it does take, I've had a friend actually try to apply for a State Department job, and it took a long time. It's a long process. It's not like a private company where it could take like 2 weeks to hire someone. So unfortunately, that is just the employee workforce is an issue, even though, of course, I'm not going to mention that specifically. But what they do mention is, for example, there's different constraints on local conditions and restrictions based on that because of lockdowns or quarantine regulation. And so they're taking that into consideration, of course. And also for you to know is that what they're focusing on, in terms of visa interview, who they're focusing on and prioritizing is anything related to services of U.S. citizens abroad. That is number one on their list. And with respect to visa interviews services for consular sections that have the capacity to have those interviews, they're processing for immigrant and fiancé visas. That is right, friends. They included fiancé visas. So, and they mentioned particularly for immigrant immediate relatives and other family-sponsored applicants is our highest priority. Those are words straight from the Department of State just a couple of days ago. So that is wonderful news, my friends. And man, this is really going to help a lot of y'all. But at the end of the day, we still don't know. You don't know exactly when your interview date will be. But the good thing starting off is that they've mentioned fiancé visa applicants and other immigrant visa. Okay, so that also means, or they mentioned other family sponsored applicants. So that includes family preference categories. Okay, so especially a lot of y'all are concerned about age out issues with the CSPA. I will have a separate video about that. I know many of y'all have been asking me about that and how to calculate the CSPA age and how to contact the consulate. So that is one update. Now, another thing to say about some people have asked if one way to maybe expedite or to process these interviews smoother or faster is maybe to have it by video conference. I know many of us are now finally used to like using video conference. Maybe it could be Zoom, some other like what do you call that? Well, there's WebEx, I think is one. A lot of different options, and so, but the answer is no. The government cannot do that because the law still says that the interviews have to be in person. So it does not appear they're going to have any kind of waiver of interview in those scenarios. They've only mentioned waiver of interview for people who already had an interview within the last 24 months, and they've extended that. But I believe those are only for non-immigrant visas, not for immigrant visas. So if you're not too familiar what the difference is, immigrant visa essentially means you're going to the US for the purpose of receiving a resident card, aka green card. Okay, that's the golden ticket. Okay, whereas non-immigrant visa, NIV, is more of a temporary visa. It could be for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, for example. Okay, so the other thing people have mentioned, okay, so I've mentioned about fiance visas, right? But a lot of people who had the COVID-19 travel restriction, they've addressed this. It appears to be good news, okay? They say as of April 8th, so I think, yeah, that was last week, all immigrant visas, IV applicants, and K1 non-immigrant visa applicants are accepted, meaning they're an exception. They could continue for the interview from the geographic COVID-19 proclamations, okay, and may be processed. So that is a wonderful thing, my friends. And they say, like, for example, how are they going to prioritize? So we've addressed that. And also, if they are part of one of those countries, for example, like China, South Africa, Ireland, the UK, England in general, and also several other European countries. From what they say on here, it means that you can process for an interview. Now, in a separate video, we'll go through the very specific visa statistics. So you'll see that they are making movement. I can tell you without showing you the chart right now is that when I checked yesterday, we had a live show for London. They only had one K1 visa for the month of February, because this update now is for April. They update the statistics quite a little bit, 1 month too slow, but I want to give you an idea. London was only one, but I believe Guangzhou, China, which had a lot of issues not processing K1 visas for a long time, for at least a year, there were quite a few. It was in the double digits. So that is a wonderful thing, my friends. And another question that we want to address with you is people ask is, when can I schedule my K1 fiance visa appointment? Now you have to continue to schedule it according to the guidelines. Okay. So you want to, and in general, you want to check the website of your consulate or U.S. embassy. It's very important. All right. So, and the way to do that is, what I want to show you is, you have to, if you go to our website, greencardguys.com, actually, it will be in the description box as well. There's a resource page where we can take you to those 1 or 2 websites where you can check the system to see if there's available appointments for you for K1. Okay, because that's different than immigrant visas. For immigrant visas, they always schedule it for you. All right, so, and people are asking, the next one is about the diversity visas. All right, there are different people that have asked us these questions. I mean, many people have asked us about diversity visas, and for the most part, they have different answers. If you are part of the group, the Diversity Visa 2020, unfortunately, they say you cannot travel into the U.S. They say, people have different scenarios. They could have been issued the visa itself already, but your visa expired and you could not travel to America because of the lockdown. They say you cannot travel, you cannot be issued replacement visas. But I can guarantee you, we will be suing the government on that. There have been different lawsuits all across the country about this issue. So if you're someone who can afford it, we are happy to help you sue the government and get you the visa. Even though they say, of course, in this bulletin, they say no. And that's because they always generally say no, because they have an allotment of a number of visas per fiscal year. So that allotment for the DV 2020, you may know already, that time passed. So that's why it is important to sue the government, because that visa is not used, right? So it's just sitting there. So they can reissue it. They should be able to. The other thing is for, people asked about DV 2020. You did not have an interview at all. Can you have an interview? And the answer is, again, similar, no, because the fiscal year 2020 already passed, unfortunately. And they just say you need to reapply for the DV program, diversity visa program. Now, for people who are DV 2021, they ask, can you schedule an interview? So, of course, you have to be documentary qualified. You need to provide that evidence to the State Department website, and many of you have already done that. And so the next thing, of course, is to be scheduled for the interview. And they say that applicants should wait for notification of your interview notification appointment. And it really, because even if you hear from a friend that a different embassy or consulate is open, let's say like 99% open, that doesn't mean that your consulate is going to be wide open as well for scheduling. So you need to keep that in consideration. Don't necessarily think that just because someone else has an interview very soon means that there's a bad situation for you. But of course, you want to press them and email them to make so you have an idea, because you don't want a situation that you're reaching the end of fiscal year, which is usually, I believe, September 30th of each year. So you want to double check that and make sure you don't get passed up for an interview. That's very important. Okay, and then the other thing to know is, for employment-based, because they are still having interviews for employment-based, but they didn't mention that as a priority necessarily, but because they're saying that when I refer to post, I mean consulate locations, they're processing immigrant visa applications. They're being prioritized for immediate relative, family members of U.S. citizens. And so that includes inter-country adoptions, adoptees, fiancés of U.S. citizens, and certain special immigrant visa applications. That can include, for example, the Afghani or Iraqi interpreters, for example. I would imagine there's not too many of those applicants. But for example, the State Department says they recognize the importance of employment-based immigrants, but for anyone who have not been interviewed based on that priority or scheduled, they will be processed according to the State Department's existing phased resumption visa services framework. So essentially, they just try to play nice, but you're getting to the back of the line because they're processing for immediate relative family members of U.S. citizens. Okay, so that is the update, folks. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I've shared this in live shows, but friends, if you're watching this channel, I want to share with you our secret code, because you have the opportunity you should really take advantage of this. We're offering free 15-minute consultation. It's really a preliminary discussion with you and to make sure if there's a way we can help you. Just maybe point you in the right direction. We understand some people, you may not be able to afford a lawyer right now. So I get it because of the pandemic, but maybe in the future if you need help. But for right now, we are offering this free 15 minutes, okay, preliminary discussion. But what you need to do, my friends, we highly recommend you to, let's see here, trying to show the code for you. So here we go. Mention a secret code. You can text this code, okay, to our number. I'll show you a number in a second, but text this code or tell us this code to our cares team when they answer the phone, and they'll take care of you and schedule for you within, or they'll at least call you if you leave a message or a text message. They'll call you back within 24 hours of the next business day. So if it's a weekend, my friends, it will be on Monday, okay? We don't usually work on the weekends unless there's an emergency. But otherwise, if you have time, so that's usually text if you are at work or something busy, but if you have time, please fill out the intake form down below. It starts with Ting Law, and provide us a little bit of information about your case, and that would definitely save us more time on just asking the preliminary information, and we're able to help you, guide you much faster. Friends, until next time, please continue wearing a mask. Thank you very much and have a good day.